Hello everyone, welcome to JRF Explorer. My name is Muzammil. In this video, we will be doing Russian formalism, and this session will be bilingual. As you all know that Russian formalism, structuralism, new criticism, post-structuralism, deconstruction, reader response theory. These theories come under the theory portion. But in theory portion, there are two parts. One is critical theory, one is literary theory. Literary theory are theories, or it's a theory that deals with the text mainly. It surrounds the area of text only. While as the critical theories, they go beyond the text as well. And they are applied in society as well. They are kind of substantial, you can say. In this video, we will be doing Russian formalism, its thinkers, its schools, its main texts, the terms associated with Russian formalism, and the concepts related. Let's start. So, the objectives of this video lecture will be the concept of Russian formalism, what's Russian formalism, how it works, how the authors are related to it, the books that are related to it, the terms that are important in this very literary theory. Then, the first thing that comes to Russian formalism is language. देखिए लैंग्वेज एक ऑर्डिनरी होती है जो रोज़मर्रा ज़िंदगी या दूसरे सब्जेक्ट्स में पढ़ते हैं, एंड दूसरी लैंग्वेज वो है जो लिटरेचर में लैंग्वेज होती है. सो रशियन फॉर्मलिज्म का जो पहला आस्पेक्ट था वो रिगार्डिंग लैंग्वेज था. हमने पहले ही बताया कि जो रशियन फॉर्मलिज्म है वो टेक्स्ट को ही सराउंड करेगा, बट टेक्स्ट में वो पर्टिकुलर चीज़ें क्या है जिन्हें वो सराउंड करेगा. सबसे पहले है उसमें लैंग्वेज, ऑर्डिनरी लैंग्वेज और जो लिटरेचर लैंग्वेज है उससे क्या होता है. फॉर एग्ज़ाम्पल, सबसे पहली बात मैं बताऊंगा कि अगर हम कोई सब्जेक्ट उठाए, साइंस की कोई बुक है, सो अगर हम ऑर्डिनरी लैंग्वेज में इसे भी किसी हद तक लिटरेचर बोल सकते हैं. जैसे हम बोलते हैं कि इट्स साइंटिफिक लिटरेचर, इट्स social literature, right? It's cultural literature, or it's English literature, for example. So, but Russian formalism के according, language is what defines literature. How? Because an ordinary language, it's a common language that's used, or it's used in day-to-day life, in day-to-day subjects we read, while as the language in literature, the another name that's given to it is literariness. It brings literariness to the text. So एक टेक्स्ट में जब तक लिटरेरीनेस नहीं होगी तब तक वो लिटरेचर नहीं है, अकॉर्डिंग टू रशियन फॉर्मलिज्म. एंड ऑर्डिनरी लैंग्वेज और जो लिटरेचर की लैंग्वेज है उसे वही लिटरेरीनेस अलग करती है. डिड यू अंडरस्टैंड मी? फॉर एग्ज़ाम्पल, एक टेक्स्ट है सोशल साइंस का. इस सोशल साइंस में खाली फैक्ट्स है, राइट? ये फॉर एग्ज़ाम्पल हम बात करेंगे भी कास्टिज़म पे. ये सबस्टेंशियल फैक्ट्स उठाएंगे एंड देन वी विल बी रीडिंग दोज थिंग्स, राइट? और ऑन द अदर साइड हम उठाएंगे लिटरेचर की कोई बुक, इसमें फैक्ट्स नहीं होंगे. इसकी जो लैंग्वेज होगी वो अलग होनी चाहिए अकॉर्डिंग टू रशियन फॉर्मलिज्म. क्यों? क्योंकि फिर कोई फ़र्क ही नहीं रहा ऑर्डिनरी टेक्स्ट में और जो लिटरेचर का टेक्स्ट है. आई होप यू अंडरस्टूड इट. द सेकेंड थिंग, द सेकेंड कैरेक्टरिस्टिक दैट्स कॉल्ड लिटरेरीनेस. इट वॉज द प्रीवियस कैरेक्टरिस्टिक ओनली, सॉरी, let me just repeat it here. So it's the Russian term, sorry I can't pronounce it because it is Russian term, I just put it there for your use only. Roman Jacobson writes that the object of study in literary science is not literature but literariness, that what makes a given work a literary work. So it was Roman Jacobson. We will be reading Roman Jacobson's works and the terms he gave in Russian formalism. So according to Roman Jacobson, it is this very term, literariness, that makes a work literary. So अगर एक वर्क में लिटरेरीनेस नहीं होगी तब वो ऑर्डिनरी बुक है, एंड ऑर्डिनरी बुक इज नॉट लिटरेचर अकॉर्डिंग टू रोमन जैकबसन. So he has written Art as Device in 1917. We'll be dealing with it in our next slides only. Then there are two circles. So these very circles, one is Moscow circle, Moscow linguistic circle, and one is Petrograd Society for the Study of Poetic Language. If I am not wrong, it's called OPO as well. Okay, so I have a question for you, that tell me the authors or thinkers that were related to these two schools, and you have to write one work by each of those authors in comment section only. Let's move to the next slide. The second term that we are going to deal with is defamiliarization. What is defamiliarization? For your convenience, मैंने उसकी रशियन टर्म भी रखी है नीचे, आप को चाहे तो यूज़ कर सकते हैं, एल्स इट्स ओके टू कीप defamiliarization only. So defamiliarization is something that makes the literary work different from the ordinary works. How? Victor Shklovsky says, he says that while dealing with a literary text, जब हम कोई literary text करें तब हमें ये लगना चाहिए कि इसमें कुछ अलग मिल रहा है हमको. कैरेक्टर्स ऐसे प्रेजेंट होने चाहिए, लिटरेरी सिंबल्स ऐसे प्रेजेंट होने चाहिए, ऑर्डिनरी वर्ड्स ऐसे प्रेजेंट होने चाहिए कि वो हमें टोटली डिफरेंट लगे देन द ऑर्डिनरी यूज़ ऑफ लैंग्वेज. आपको आया समझ? फॉर एग्जांपल अभी हम जो कन्वेंशनल लैंग्वेज यूज़ कर रहे हैं वो लिटरेरी लैंग्वेज टोटली डिफरेंट होनी चाहिए इससे. और वंस वी आर रीडिंग ए लिटरेरी टेक्स्ट it should seem very different from that of the ordinary language. That's what is called defamiliarization. Okay, so Victor Shklovsky ने defamiliarization coin करा है. उसकी रशियन टर्म ऑस्टने ने ही है, ये है रशियन टर्म इसकी. And what he is saying that once we are going into a text, we are delving into a text, it should seem something that's not familiar, जो जान पहचान का नहीं हो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर वर्ड फिश है तो ए फिश हमें थोड़ा अलग दिखना चाहिए, क्योंकि तभी हम इसे डिफैमिलराइजेशन बोलेंगे इन रशियन फॉर्मलिज्म. सो डिफैमिलराइजेशन मीन्स प्रेजेंटिंग familiar elements in an unfamiliar or strange way. Presenting familiar elements means that we know that are recurring in our day-to-day language, right? They should be presented in an unfamiliar or strange way to encourage readers to see them with the fresh eyes. So once we are going to delve into a text, it should seem very fresh to us. Okay, fostering a deeper understanding. Many a times what happens is there are many words in our ordinary language, we don't pay a deep attention to them. Victor Shklovsky is saying that once you deal with a work, just present it in a way that we are going to ponder upon the words, ponder upon the language and style used in it. Okay, I hope you understood it. Then there are two more terms. One is fabula and one is suhat. Suhat or suhat. It's a Russian term, so I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrong. What's fabula? In Russian formula, there are two very aspects. One is fabula and one is suhat. You should know the difference between these two terms and importance as well. Fabula is simply the chronological sequence of events in a story. What does that mean? That things happen, it's like a story only. Things happen, and then what we do is we put them in a chronological way, that I went to a shop, then I came back, then I had tea. It's called fabula, for example. Okay, it's a fiction. और सुहट क्या होता है? It's the way, it's the creativity aspect, the artistic and aesthetic aspect of putting the story. Meaning, suhat is the way these events are presented in the narrative. How they are presented in the narrative is suhat. Its fabula is simply, fabula क्या है कि I went to a shop, मैं वापस आया, चाय पी, खाना खाया. So putting these events chronologically, we call it fabula, while presenting in an artistic way, putting some aesthetics in it. By aesthetics I mean artistry in it. Then it becomes suhat. I hope you understood it. अब और एक टर्म है जो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, द डोमिनेंट. व्हाट इज द डोमिनेंट? डोमिनेंट इट्स समथिंग दैट इज रिकरिंग, जो बहुत रिपीट हो एक स्टोरी में. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अभी हम बालू की स्टोरी पढ़ेंगे, फॉर एग्जाम्पल. ओके, बालू बियर. व्हाट विल हैपन इज the word balu, it will recur, it will repeat many a times, that it will shape our perception or it will shape the understanding of the reader कि ये टेक्स्ट किस बारे में है, जो कि हमारे जहन में डोमिनेट रहे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, if we don't put any title to an essay, then we start talking about women rights, women vote, all the things that were dealing with women, right? Then it becomes the dominant, the woman becomes dominant, and we know it will be about feminism only, right? When is the voice of, we will come to know this by the structure, the recurring theme, the archetype that's repeating. We will come to know that it's the dominant in the story. So dominant, you should know, it's recurring theme जो बहुत repeat हो, motive or stylistic element that holds spatial significance. So dominant is much significant in the whole story according to Russian formalism. And then we are done with the concepts, we are done with the important terms as well. Now we will deal with the authors, and the very first author that we are going to do is Viktor Shklovsky. Viktor Shklovsky was associated with Russian formalism, and as you know, for NET JRF exam, how important is the chronology. That's why we are going to do these very books in a very close manner, in a very attentive manner. So पहली बुक जो उन्होंने लिखी है वो आर्ट एज टेक्निक लिखी है in 1917. It's very important because it was a key text in Russian formalism. And then the second key text was Theory of Prose, 1925. Zoo, All Letters Not About Love, it's the third text. The fourth important text was Literature and Cinematography. Keep it in mind that ये जो टर्म्स में, ये जो बुक्स मैंने अभी बताई है, इन्हें क्रोनोलॉजी में याद करना है. आर्ट एज टेक्निक एंड थ्योरी ऑफ प्रोज, these two are very must and most doable books in Russian formalism. When you are going to appear in the exam, keep these two books in your mind. 1917, Art as Technique, Theory of Prose in 1925. And the terms that we did in the previous previous slides are the defamiliarization and fabula and Suzette. Okay, I hope you understood. Second important author we have is Roman Jacobson. Who was Roman Jacobson? He was one of the authors associated with which of the school you will comment. You will write this in comment section only. So जो उनकी पहली बुक है वो है on realism and art. In realism and art we are doing only important books only, keep it in mind. On realism in art, if you have enough time, just go through the Wikipedia list of books or any other text you have with yourself and then see the books they have written. We are doing important books because the subject matter is very deep and wide. The first text we have is On Realism in Art, 1921, Linguistics and Poetics, very important for the from the exam point of view, and Closing Statement, Linguistics and Poetics. Many a times what happens is they will ask you subtitles in the exam, so keep these subtitles in mind. Closing Statement having the subtitle Linguistics and Poetics. And then there are terms, and I will be doing these very terms in very brief manner. And the first very the first very term we have is fatigue function. You should keep in mind that Roman Jacobson, he gave some functions of language. Okay, and the first one he gave was fatigue function of language. So what is fatigue function of language? Fatigue function is simply the day-to-day significance of language. Metalinguistic is what when language refers to itself, and then there are referential function, conative function, and poetic function. We have a paucity of time. We will be doing Roman Jacobson in the next very lecture. In the coming lectures we will be doing him in a very deep manner if we get time. Here we just keep in mind fatigue and metalinguistic function, because these, and poetic function is when the language is expressive, aesthetic, right? So that is poetic function. I hope you understood. Then we have other authors. The third author we have is Boris Eichenbaum. He has written 3 important books. The first book is Pushkin, Tolstoy, and Dostoevsky. The second very book is How Gogol's Overcoat is Made. The third book is The Theory of the Formal Method, written in 1926. Keep it in mind. The chronology is a must do in these slides, in these theories, because in literary theory they will ask you, the first thing they will ask you is the terms, the concept, the authors related, the schools associated, and the coinage of important terms. Okay. So then another author we have, important author we have, is Yuri Tianov. He has written 3 very important books. The first is Permanent Evolution, 1927, The Literary Fact, 1924, Ampere's Law, 1927. ये books आप याद रखें क्योंकि these books are very important from exam point of view, and all they are going to ask in exam will surround this very subject only. Let's move to the next slide. There are 2 more authors left. The first is Viktor Ehrlich. He has written Russian Formalism, History, Doctrine, 1955, and the Structure of Russian verse. Keep the subtitle in mind. Citrus meter, citrus syllable in 1965. The structure of Russian verse he has written in 1965. Then another author is Boris Tomaszewski. Boris Tomaszewski, he has written Thematics in 1925. He has written The Formal Method in Literary Scholarship, and he has written Literary Fact. Both of the below two books have been written in 1928. I hope you understood today's lecture. It was thorough. There were some important terms we did. There were some important concepts that I made clear. I may be wrong. I may have done many mistakes in the video. If you feel I did any, let me know in the comment section. And I hope जो next lectures होंगे हमारे, उनमें हम और अच्छा content लाए आपके लिए. And conceptual clarity के लिए अगर आपको कुछ भी हो, you can ask in comment section. And then we will be following this very lecture with new criticism, structuralism, and ऐसे ही हम सारी literary theory पहले complete करेंगे, both conceptual and then we will be doing MCQs, important MCQs. I hope आपको ये lecture पसंद आया होगा. Wish you a best of luck. Thank you.